gentlemen, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. Real quick, a bit of breaking news, and this may or may not be what you would consider breaking news, but for me, it is, and it deserves the utmost attention, all right? So if I could have your ears, if I don't already, all right? Turn up your volumes, announcements. My guys at Undisputed Belts, who have been with the show since the very beginning, they are one of the proudest partners and sponsors of the Fan Show. There's a business arrangement that we have. I plug them. They give me free belts to give away, and it's become one of the things of the show. So there's no money exchange, so to speak. They don't pay me to plug them. It's just, hey, let's have you guys be part of the show for the post-game Fan Show Player of the Game with the belt, and we give away a custom belt each year at a championship game. And one of your pre-made ones for the victor of the Fan Nation Fantasy Football League. Yeah, sounds like a fantastic idea. I throw their logo up on my backdrop when I do the interviews that you guys see all over the place. It's a win-win. These guys are great. I respect them because they're always doing things to be the best that they can be. And that is, they've done things where it used to just be that you could only order one of the three pre-made designs that they had: the quarterback, the running back, or the tight end and wide receiver, right? And Brett Casella, as well as Rob, producer Rob, they both have one of those. They love them. They take them everywhere with them. I don't. I got one of the custom ones. I actually have two custom ones because they get better and better at it. They get more and more stuff. They have black leather, brown leather, white leather. They have gold plates, silver plates. They have black plates now. That's one of their most recent things. But now, announced today, they do youth-sized custom championship belts. They are available now. They are 34 inches long, and they come with 3 plates. So you get the center and then one for each side, left and right. And they are perfect for kids. Perfect for youth sporting events, whatever, because who's a huge fan of WWE or wrestling in general? Kids. Right, that's what WWE panders to now. They know that if they market to kids, well, somebody's got to take them. They're not going to drive themselves if they're 10, 11, 12 years old. Parents got to take them. So they just went from selling 1 ticket to potentially 3 with kid, mom, and dad. Or they at least doubled because dad's going to take them, mom's going to take them, who knows. They do youth-sized belts. I repeat, Undisputed Belts does youth-sized belts. It is awesome. So breaking news, go check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Undisputed Belts right now, and check these out. They are so awesome. Like, I tagged a bunch of my dad friends, and they're like, this is awesome. And, you know, these are legit. If you have a kid, or if you are a coach of a youth league or something, you got to get in on this. This is fantastic. So that's the breaking news that we've got for you. Other than that, though, it is Thursday here, so we do have a great show lined up for you. We've got Cynthia Frelund. You may remember her. She's one of the best in the pick'em game that there is. NFL Network's own. I mean, she cleaned house week 1 as far as her pick'em goes. Now, I don't know how she did this last one, but this is week 2 for me, and I'm not wading into this. Okay, I'm not going to tiptoe into the shallows and then work my way to the deep end. No, I want the best of the best to go, mano a mano with me for Fan versus Fan Show pick'em. Last week, me and Kevin Goatee, the dude gambles on NFL games, so he knows how to pick. And I know that we didn't do over, under, or point spreads or whatever. We just did straight up winners and losers. And yeah, I took the L. It's okay. I'm okay with that. I'd rather take an L to a guy like Kevin then take an L to, I don't know, like a Browns fan, maybe a dude by the name of Rob. I don't know. We'll see. But I wanted to get Cynthia on here because she's one of the best. And I want a chance to get my first win against one of the best. So she's going to join me here in a little bit. That'll be great. And, yeah, we've got some preview for you for tonight, Saturday, Sunday. I will be back out at EWU, that's right, Eastern Washington University, when they play Cal Poly. So that's going to be a fun one. I'm excited to be back in that press box. I love it out there every chance I get. So let's go ahead, take a look here at the headlines, and we'll get this thing rolling. Headlines, of course, brought to you by, I almost said Undisputed Belts. The whole show is brought to you by Undisputed Belts. But headlines, they are brought to you exclusively by my good friend Ethan and the folks at Dynamite Enterprises, because they make dynamite merchandise that flies off my shelf. I can't even keep them stocked long enough for you guys to get them. The hats, they're out there. You should be receiving them today or tomorrow. I think they said the latest would be Saturday, so when you guys get them, make sure that you tweet, share, post whatever photo of you with the merch and tag the Fan Show so I can add you guys to our little slideshow that we've got on the new fanshow.com, which we're working on right now to make sure that it is the best as far as a home base goes for football nonsense and everything in between. BattleBots tomorrow night, round 1. We, of course, had Andrea Suarez, newlywed, and she is seed number 13 with Witch Doctor, and they're going to take on number 4, Minotaur, and that match will happen tomorrow night, as well as the rest of the left side of the bracket, which is seeds. It's got the 1 seed, it's got the 4 seed, and it's got the rest of them in there, you know, however they seed that. So I don't know if you call it east or west or left or right, whatever, but the left side of the bracket starts tomorrow night, and they will go 2 rounds. And I saw a majority of these fights. They are great. They are fantastic fights. So you won't want to miss it. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on the Discovery Channel. Make sure that you set your... Is DVR a thing anymore? Is that... I don't know. Anyway, before I forget, though, hit up Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com. And he's going to hook you up. He's going to help you customize your world. Indy's Barbershop also. Forgot to mention them last night. I will not tonight. But they are at 711 North Monroe Street. Go and get a quality haircut and a hot towel shave. See Jason or Dylan. They do amazing work. Anytime I need to go and just unwind and relax and clean myself up, I go and I hit up Indies. And if you go in there and you say, heard about you on the Fan Show, they're going to hook you up with a 15% discount. I don't know what the discount is that Ethan's giving out, but I do know that he's been very excited about the potential of more and more business coming in. He gave me some cards that have a discount towards your first purchase on there, so make sure that you guys do that. So we've got Browns and Jets tonight. And people ask why I don't care about Thursday Night Football. I'll give it to Thursday Night Football. They tried really hard to make this thing. I don't know if this is like an NFL Network thing where they have all the bad matchups, because apparently Fox took over, because the Fox Thursday night games, I think, start next week. And they've got all the good matchups. So I don't know if that's a Fox thing and an NFL Network thing or what, but there has yet to be a season, one season, where scheduling these two teams seemed like a prime time gold mine. Like, just, hey, we need a Thursday night game. What do you think would draw really good views in week 3? The Jets and Browns doing anything? Bro. Blockbuster idea. No, it's not. There has never been a season that these two teams look like the matchup for prime time television. So I don't know if this is like the sloppy seconds and the leftovers of the Thursday night schedule. Seems a little early for that, doesn't it? But I don't know how the scheduling works. So Jets and Browns, that's what you get tonight. It is me against the lovely and talented Aaron Coscarelli in the Fan Nation Fantasy Football League. We're both 0-2. How did that happen? Tell you what, Chris Cope, though, he's 2-0. He's beaten both Aaron and myself to become 2-0. And I have taken an L to the defending champion, producer Rob, so that one stings a little. But I got to get in that win column, and she wants to as well. There's a championship belt on the line from Undisputed Belts. You crazy? So Aaron Coscarelli and myself, we will go head-to-head for bragging rights, for one in the win column. Somebody's got to win. There's no ties in my league. I won't allow it. So somebody's got to win. And right now, she's projected to beat me. I'm a little upset about that, not going to lie. The way that it's matched up right now is she is projected to get 114. I'm projected for 105. Quarterbacks, me. We'll go me, Aaron. Me, Aaron, me, Aaron. Okay, so for me, Drew Brees against Alex Smith. Christian McCaffrey against Mr. Freeman of Denver at Baltimore. I put in Breida because he's my guy, right? 49ers running back. I finally get to cheer on one of my players because he's on my fantasy team. And she's got Lindsey in Denver. I got Cooper Kupp. It's matched up against OBJ, but whatever. Right now I have Enunwa in there from the Jets. I don't know how I feel about that. And then she's got Mike Thomas. Jimmy Graham for me, Rudolph for her, Eckler for me, Aguilar for her for the flex spot, Carolina D, Baltimore D, Tucker, and Bryant. So pretty legit matchups. On my bench, though, I don't really think... Geronimo in Green Bay, is that somebody that would be good? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so that's me and Aaron going head-to-head. And then in my... other league, I've got me and Mr. Adam Winnings. I'm 1-1 there, hoping to get another one in the win column. But we've got great matchups. This weekend should be a lot of fun as far as the NFL. You got BattleBots tomorrow night, Eastern Washington University Eagles football on Saturday, as well as all the rest of the college matchups. So it's going to be a good weekend. I really think that we're in for something special. Week 3 always seems to be a special weekend in the NFL because you're not quite at the quarter of the way through the season point just yet, but very close, very close. So with that then, that I believe does it for the headlines. If there's any more, we can always go over them after I get done talking with Cynthia, but I know that she's a busy woman. Her time is precious and valuable. Time is money. So when I come back, I'll be with Cynthia of NFL Network, and we're going to do Fan versus Fan Show Pick'em. So don't go anywhere. We got more of the Fan Show coming up after this. You're listening to The Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons. Like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and with me is one of the other lovely ladies of the NFL Network. I mean, you got some real bombshells on there that do great work. She is Cynthia Frelund. She does some amazing predictions week to week, and we're going to do that in a little bit. But Cynthia, welcome. Always a pleasure. How you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, it's always such a treat to talk to the women of NFL Network, really the women of sportscasting or media, sports media, NFL, whatever, because you guys, you know, I don't know how it is for you individually or you personally, but it just seems like you guys have overcome so much, and you knock it out of the park each time. I mean, I know you, Aaron, Colleen Wolfe, you guys do fantastic work. So really, congratulations to you guys and everything that you guys do week in and week out on the network.
We're really lucky. I obviously worked at ESPN too, and I love the girls there. But those 3 girls that you named, I'm watching Colleen right now on the screen crush it on Thursday night. I work with Erin. Her and I are on a show called Pick'em on Fridays together. And we really do have like it's a much smaller network than ESPN, but we do have some really, really great women. You're totally right. Totally right.
Yeah, and it seems like, I don't know if it's like you'd say turning of the tide or a shift in the momentum, but obviously, it's always been sort of cliched as a man's world. But you guys, some of you grew up where it was you were the daddy's girl that went out there and you were tougher than some of the boys, whatever your origin stories is. But for you, do you feel like on a personal note or just from your surroundings that as a woman in sports, media especially, where it's vicious, it's brutal, that you guys have kind of gotten past the worst of it?
Yeah, look, I was a banker before, so that's a very male-dominated field. And then I worked I went to business school, and then I worked in the front office at the NFL and the league office about a decade ago, and then navigated my way to Disney and then all these different places. So I've kind of had an untraditional path in terms of broadcasting, but I've worked in a lot of male-dominated fields, and I'm going to tell you, I've had some of the best male mentors possible, and those people have really shown me how to male and female mentors and people who like really believe in you. And I do think things are changing. I think, look, like the men that are Hall of Fame athletes, having them come, really say, hey, your work is excellent, and promoting your work and really showcasing all the women on our network it's really special. And it's been really cool to see. They're great guys on our network for sure.
Yeah, I know guys like Mark Istook. He was one of the first special guests I had in the Fan show's infancy. And then, of course, there's been a few that I've had on, some still there, some not. Adam Rank, James Coe, Matt Harmon. So, yeah, you guys have got a great cast of characters that have come through the NFL Network, at least, and some that are still there. So it's great to see that you guys are so tight-knit and such a great family. Now, are you a fan of wrestling at all, like WWE?
I'm not as big as Adam Rank is in that space, but I don't know. I actually don't know if many people are. So I would say yes, like between him and Michael Fabiano, like on Fantasy Live, I hear a lot about it. But, I enjoy it. I'm actually kind of old school with it. Like I used to watch when I was in like middle school and elementary school more often. I haven't kept up with it as much as those guys have, but I'm still a big fan. I like the Bella Twins. I like my girls. So it's great. It's great stuff.
Well, yeah, and you're right. Adam Rank is an incredibly high bar that I don't know if anyone can meet or even exceed. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's the man when it comes to wrestling and knowledge, and it's always fun. I bring him on to talk fantasy football, and then we end up talking wrestling for like 20 minutes. So,
it's fun. It's always fun to get a little off topic. No big deal.
Absolutely, but the women are doing great things in WWE. In fact, they've main evented a few things over the last year, and then they have their own all women's pay-per-view coming up. So, never a better time to be a woman right now, and I think that it's great for you guys. I really do.
We've got to stick around good guys like you that make it all fun.
Well, I just try to do my part, and I know that my wife sometimes rolls her eyes at me a little harder and harder each day, but it's a fun house-divided rivalry environment here on Sunday as me a Niners fan and her a Seahawks fan, so it makes for a fun day.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of this team and that team, before we get into the Fan versus Fan show pick'em, I'm in a bit of a pickle because I'm going up against Aaron this week for my Fan Nation Fantasy Football League, where a championship belt goes to the victor, and we're both 0-2 and really needing that win. And I don't know if you've got any sort of insider information that you can give me as far as how I can get this one over on Aaron, or if that's like a violation of girl code that you can't help, somebody against one of your girls. I don't know how it works there.
I mean, look, I would never ever. Aaron and I are in a league together too. Like I can't violate the girl code, and I don't see your team. So I will say though that I think you got to make sure your tight ends are on point this week. That's going to be a big key.
Yes, and for me, I'm kind of limited. I'm one of those guys that almost enjoys when the bye week rolls around because I don't have to do that whole him or him sort of back and forth debate. But right now I have Jimmy Graham, who did a lot better in week 2 against Minnesota. But on my bench I have Safarian Jenkins, but he was questionable. So that's my tight end.
I would stick with Jimmy Graham in that one.
And she's got Rudolph, so that was.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough. That
Yep.
one's gonna be tough too. Both of them are good. So, I mean, I don't know. You got to make sure. I would say stick to the games where there's gonna be a lot of points. So I'm sticking to your. I think there will be a lot of points in New Orleans and Atlanta. I do think they're on both sides of the ball. I think the Chiefs will score a lot of points. Sorry, I know you're a San Francisco 49ers fan.
I know, it's okay though.
And I'm also looking to, let's see, where else am I looking here? I'm also looking, I think Tampa Bay is going to keep, their offense is going to keep, certain spots of their offense is going to keep rolling with the points in Fantasyland.
Yeah, and it's interesting about Tampa Bay because you keep thinking that the magic is going to run out for Connor McMagic there. But I love Ryan Fitzpatrick so much. But then they go out and they put the points on. But this week, I don't know. This one's probably got me the most nervous. My biggest question mark right now, though, wide receiver. Seems like it's that way every week. I get especially nervous when I have guys playing Thursday night. I have Enunwa, okay? But on my bench, I have Geronimo from Green Bay, who's really emerged as a go-to guy for Aaron.
Oof. Yeah, I think that in that one, I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers has been on the injury report a little bit. I love Geronimo Allison. I know I'm probably going to be wrong no matter which way I pick, but I might go with Enunwa just because I think that from the sheer volume standpoint, it's a safer play.
I agree. I will wholeheartedly agree with you on that. So thank you for putting my mind at ease. Let's get to the point of tonight, which I'm 0-1. I went up against one of my good friends who's a comedian and bets on a lot of sports last week. And although the Minnesota-Green Bay game didn't help or hurt us, I picked Pittsburgh and then also Washington, and he picked Indy and KC, and we both know how those turned out. So
wow, good picks by him. The Indy pick was gutsy, I think.
It was, right? Jeez.
Yeah, sure.
I
think that was gutsy.
Yeah, that one stung. So 5 games. I will let you, as the guest, ladies first, ladies choice, pick first. The first game, obviously, I love my divisional rivalries, especially one like this. Both 1-1. It is an NFC South matchup. The Saints and the Falcons. What do you think about this one?
I honestly, this one had me a little bit miffed because obviously with the Falcons missing some key pieces on their defense, the middle linebacker, maybe Deion Jones, even more than one of my favorite strong safeties in the entire National Football League in Keanu O'Neal. I thought he was going to be the bigger loss, but I think both of them together are just a huge loss, in which case I think Alvin Kamara runs wild and the Saints win this one.
Yeah, the Saints are definitely that team that home or away when it comes to a division rival, they seem to put their best foot forward. Now, of course, they don't know how to defense, really, and they got lucky against the Browns, and the Falcons are a different team at home. I love Breeze. I've got him on my fantasy team, but of course I know that he puts up more points if he's playing from behind, without the lead. So I'm going to have to go ahead and say Atlanta at home just because the Saints, without a defense, Matt Ryan's just going to keep putting points up on you. So I will take Atlanta in that one.
All right. Well, I'm going with the Saints. I think they're get right game for their defense. Their defense is better than that. We saw they had a slow start last season too. I think they pick it back up now.
All righty. The next matchup that I've got here for us is not a divisional one, but I think one that has a few people a little curious here, and that is the Bengals visiting Carolina to take on the Panthers. Andy Dalton's looked really good, but of course we've seen that before. And then it depends on which Cam Newton, which Carolina Panthers really show up on Sunday.
Yeah, this one. Look, there's two things that are kind of missing here, one on each side. So Joe Mixon missing for the Bengals is a big deal because part of the reason why Andy Dalton's looked so great is because he has been under pressure a ton because they've been running really, really well, especially to the left side of their line. They brought over Cordy Glenn from the Bills, and they've been able to rush behind him really well. The problem is, and I like Gio Bernard, but I don't think he's as dynamic as Joe Mixon. I think that Carolina's defense had uncharacteristic misses and tackles last game. So to me, it's advantage Carolina's defense in this one. Then you look at the other side of the ball, missing their tight end. Obviously, Greg Olson's a huge loss for them. I think Christian McCaffrey has a big uptick. He's been super influential, impactful to the game. I have Carolina coming out on top in this one.
Yeah, I think Carolina is the better, more well-rounded team. Even without Greg Olsen, they've done it before. But the Panthers at home, it seems like a lot of the NFC South teams are just kind of different when it comes to their home environment. And Carolina is kind of playing for their home right now after Hurricane Florence, and we've seen what that can do for a team. So I will go Carolina as well. And the next one that I have for us here, this one, I mean, you get one team one week and you get another the next week. But of course, there's two great quarterbacks with a lot of history here because of the same draft class. That is the Aaron Rodgers Packers taking on the Alex Smith Redskins, and this one should be an interesting one. But of course, the Indy pick against Washington was ballsy, so I don't know what you think of this one. But that's a game right there.
That's, I didn't expect. I like Alex Smith maybe more than other media members do. I've watched almost every snap he's taken since college. I rewatched it, watched it again, watched it with coaches. He's a much better quarterback than the score would suggest from last week. That being said, he's not Aaron Rodgers, and I know that's kind of like a duh response, but duh. I think we do see more points overall in this game. I think both teams get on the board quite a bit more than last week when we saw Washington unable to do almost anything. So for me in this one, it is Aaron Rodgers on top, Green Bay on top, but it's not going to be the showing you saw last week. What was that? Their defense didn't show up. Where was Jonathan Allen? I love Jonathan Allen. He's one of my favorite players to watch, a defensive tackle out of Alabama who plays in the middle of that Washington defense. Where is he? It just wasn't. That's not going to keep happening. I think it's going to be a closer game, but I do think that Green Bay wins this one. Obviously, that assumes that Aaron Rodgers is playing. We saw the injury report. I guess it's possible he doesn't, but I have to get my little nod in there.
Yeah, and that is the question mark there. Obviously, when Green Bay has either a loss or I guess a tie, however rare that is, and Aaron is not happy, he comes out swinging. But they're on the road finally for the first time this season, and I think that They played tough against Minnesota. There were some missed opportunities there, and obviously Minnesota shot themselves in the foot, literally with the kicker missing the game winner there. But they were definitely vulnerable. I'm actually going to do a ballsy pick on this one. I'm going to go with Washington.
Do it. I like it.
Do it. That way I can win.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's a good one. It's a good. I mean, look, you let me pick first, so I went with the layup. You should go for it.
All right.
Mid-range jumper.
Okay, next one here. This one is a battle of 1-1s, different divisions, different conferences, but we get the return of the mayor of Pennsylvania when the Colts go to Philly to take on the Eagles. I'm excited about this one because we've got two guys that are kind of making their return. Now, Luck will have now 2 games under his belt, seems to get better and better, but Wentz finally cleared, finally back. What do you think is in store for us?
Remember, Frank Reich is the former offensive coordinator for Philadelphia, so he's very familiar with how multiple and how diverse of an attack Carson Wentz is capable of bringing. But you know what they can account for? The personnel matchups and the ability for Wentz to scramble. I think big win Philadelphia.
Big win Philadelphia. Wow. Rebounding after that tough loss to Tampa Bay. Obviously, if you get lit up by Fitzmagic, 50-50 how you're going to feel after that one. So you like the Eagles.
You're going to be like, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. That's all they want.
You like the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles as well, and that's going to bring up our last matchup. But real quick, am I crazy in thinking that Doug Peterson looks like John Gruden and John Hamm of Mad Men had a baby?
Oh, that's a nice cross. That's very good. That's a good one. See, my favorite cross is that do you remember Winnie Cooper? Is that a reference? It's like, remember from, the Wonder Years from a million years ago?
Yeah.
So like Winnie Cooper crossed with the guy from Twilight. I can't remember. Is it Robert? What's his name?
Is it
Pattinson?
Oh,
Robert
okay.
Pattinson. I think Brock Osweiler is Winnie Cooper crossed with Robert Pattinson.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's my best one, but I think yours might be better than mine. But you know what? That just means I gotta get another one.
Well, it's so he already looks like John Hamm, but he's got the lighter hair, and when he puts on the visor, it's like Gruden, but it's not full Gruden, So it's like it's that cross.
Listen, I think that's very smart. It's a really good job. Very good work.
Well, we'll see if that one catches on. And the last game that I have for us is the Battle of L.A., the Chargers and the Rams. Rams 2-0, Chargers 1-1. But the Chargers are always kind of that 50-50 team each season. You don't know who's going to show up and if they're going to be the spoiler or if they're going to fold entirely. As long as they stay healthy, I guess, the best is possible. So your thoughts on the L.A. showdown?
Now, while I don't believe that we've seen really who this Rams team is yet, I don't know what their identity is, because when you play from ahead for so long and you run the same 4 plays, you don't really teach us that much about you. So I don't know who they are necessarily, but I do think that this defense, with all of their pieces, especially that interior pressure, Aaron Donald combined with Ndamukong Suh, we've even seen Michael Brockers be nasty, and that O-line, and by the way, there's no Joey Bosa, so it's a lot easier to contain Melvin Ingram than it is to contain Melvin Ingram plus Joey Bosa. So for me, the defensive pressures tip the scales. And while I think, look, the Chargers do get a little unlucky with drops. They should have probably had the receivers caught those passes against the Chiefs in week 1. We could have had a different score, but we didn't. And ultimately, for me, Rams win this one, and I think it's by at least a touchdown.
Rams by at least a touchdown. Rams have been pretty much heavily favored throughout this whole season, and I think that this is going to be their toughest matchup so far this season.
For sure.
And I really want to have hope for the Chargers, just because I guess you call a Phillip Rivers guy, whatever that means. I think he definitely deserves a Hall of Fame votes. I think maybe not first ballot, but he's done so well under such poor circumstances. I'll never forget that game that he put up like 500 yards of offense all by himself without a running game against Green Bay and still managed to lose. It's just, you really feel for him. So I'm gonna pick LA, the Chargers, over the Rams. I think there's gonna be a shock.
I like it. Listen, you got to go splashy. Like, it's boring to just pick the favorite, It's very boring to do that. So I'll be boring and you can be splashy. I like it.
Yeah, but see, your boring is also, though, what, like, the safe bet, which is what I'm not saying that you only pick the safe bets, and that's why you're so good.
New Orleans is an upset. New Orleans for sure is an upset. They're not favored. No, look, I already went on record with all my picks, so I can't change my mind. If I was picking with my heart, it would be different than picking with my, with the math or with my head or the way that I do it. So I've just already been on record. I can't keep changing it around.
Yeah, no, I get that, but always fun to do the fan versus fan show pick'em, especially with someone who is considered one of the best. Is there somebody that you think is better at pick'em than you are?
Erin's pretty darn good at pick'em. She's pretty darn good. I also really I'm on Matt Money Smith, who we do a podcast together, and he is also the voice of the Chargers. He's one of the best, apart from it, he always picks the Chargers and everything because, he has to. But apart from that, he's one of the most, the most well-reasoned. Nobody watches more football than him and understands kind of the momentum swings that you just sometimes can't account for with, what happens here? We just don't know. Tampa Bay came out of nowhere. They have an improbable victory. And you know what? Improbable victories happen. That's what makes it so fun. So he's really good at it, too.
Well, if you guys ever need a guest, you let me know. You've got my contact info now. But I do want to make sure you need to run down Erin, because I sent you guys a little goodie care package for the season. So if she hasn't gotten with you yet regarding that, then make sure that you chase her down. It was supposed to be delivered Monday or Tuesday. So hopefully you guys got it and got everything. But, just let...
We're on tomorrow together, so I'll see her tomorrow.
Perfect. All right. Well, Cynthia, thank you so much again. Always a pleasure to have you on, and I do love these fun little segments here, but I'm sure we'll have you on again before the end of the season. But good luck with your picks. Obviously not against me this week, but for all the other picks that you do.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Well, hey, tell everyone I said hello, and you have a great rest of your night.
You too.
All right. Thanks. And once again, that was Cynthia Frelund of the NFL Network, and we did some good old-fashioned pick for pick. So, to recap, New Orleans at Atlanta. Cynthia likes the Saints. I like the Falcons. Then Cincinnati at Carolina. We both like the Panthers. Green Bay at Washington. Cynthia likes the Packers. I like the Redskins, with my ballsy pick of the week. Indy in Philly, we both like the Eagles. And finally, the Battle of LA, if you even want to call it that, really. The team everyone wanted and the team nobody cared would be there. The Chargers against the Rams. Cynthia likes the Rams. I'm taking the Chargers. That's right. We will see how this one goes. That is 5 games. 3 different picks. We will, unless there's a frickin' tie again, 3 for 3. Watch the Chargers and Rams end up being a frickin' tie. Like, ties do nothing. Or, by God, Green Bay and Washington, that ends up being a tie. Packers are 1-0-2. Oh, that would, if you don't think you've seen Aaron Rodgers really mad, you'd see it then. Like, he voices his opinion. He's very boisterous about things in the NFL. I'm glad I got some fantasy advice from her going up against Aaron. It's good. Let's hope that it pays off. But thank you again, Cynthia Frelund. I love those guys from NFL Network. I really do. I was thinking about headlines, if there was any more that I forgot, other than we've got the Eastern game. Eagles are coming off a tough loss to WSU. I talked about it Tuesday. That holding penalty on that 44-yard kick really changed the game. So they'll be looking to get back into the win column. They're 2-1 now. A win would make them 3-1, so they'd have a good start on the season. College kiddies are finally back, so it should be a ruckus crowd Saturday. Very excited. I love those environments. I really do. And we've got 49ers versus Chiefs. 49ers are going on the road. It's their first of their back-to-back road games, which, man, that's tough. First quarter of the season, they will have spent 75% of their games on the road. And tough teams, too. Even looking last year and seeing this team without Alex Smith, you would have said that the Chiefs were probably a tough matchup. So they had to go on the road to open the season against Minnesota, which everybody would have told you was probably going to be a tough matchup. Now, I feel like 49ers could have beat Minnesota at their best. It was self-inflicted wounds that did it for us, but an L is an L is an L is an L. You know, a loss is a loss is a loss is a loss. So I'm not going to argue. It doesn't matter what I think about how they played. The scoreboard was not tied when it was all said and done. When that clock hit 0-0-0 at the end of the fourth, they had more points than the 49ers did. They get the win. No amount of arguing or debating will change that. So 0-1. They come home, they play the Lions. They squeak out a win. Again, some self-inflicted wounds there. So there's a few red flags right now, but they don't have a whole lot of time because now they're on the road, 1-1 against a red-hot Chiefs team. A win, I think, would be huge for the 49ers. I think it would turn a lot of heads, maybe silence some doubters, but this is that point in the season where you've got a Jimmy Garoppolo against a Patrick Mahomes, and people would probably say if the 49ers were to win that Mahomes just had an off day. You know, something like that. Oh, no, Mahomes he had a bad day. Whatever. It's tough to get the nod of approval when the odds are already stacked against you. So 49ers on the road against the Chiefs. Mahomes is going to light them up. And if he doesn't, he had a bad day. It's not he's a bust. It's not he had a lucky first couple of weeks. Like, you can tell who's already fully invested and all in on some of these teams and some of these players right now, and we're only going into week 3. And week 3 is that week of the NFL. You will start to see which teams are for real, which teams have a long season ahead of them, and which teams are making the appropriate adjustments week to week. I don't know if the Chiefs are one of those teams that are just really good and they're going to keep this momentum going. I think the Chargers are a team that they're going to finally figure it out. That's why I think they'll beat the Rams. And Washington, I don't know. Tough test against the Green Bay Packers, especially if Rodgers plays. But the Packers are on the road. They're coming off a tie. I don't know what that does for your motivation or your dartboard material, but Indy and Philly, that crowd is going to be crazy because Wentz is back now. But I think Indy has potential to be a team that could figure it out and contend and get better, and if not make a wild card, at least play spoiler for a lot of teams. That is what you will start to see in week 3. Which teams are figuring it out and making the appropriate adjustments, and which teams are just they're doing the same damn thing every week, and they just happen to be playing teams that aren't fully, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Steelers. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. They're 0-1-1. They tied the Browns and they lost to the Chiefs. So week 3, I think we'll see what's really going on with them. Are they figuring it out? Are they making the adjustments? Are they working toward improvement, or are they pretty much going to call it? If they go 0-3, I think that there's going to be a lot of changes that happen in Pittsburgh. But for the 49ers to go on the road against the Chiefs, tough test. They're obviously underdogs, not just because they're on the road, but because the Chiefs have been so red hot right now. Get Reuben Foster back. That's good. It's good for the defense. I think the defense is very underappreciated right now because they have come up with some big plays. They have been the difference maker. They stopped the Lions from scoring a game-winning touchdown when they needed them. Granted, Jimmy G just about gave that damn game away, but hey, coulda, shoulda. Detroit's got a lot to figure out. I don't know if that's a team that's going to figure it out this season. I think they might have a long road ahead. I don't think there's going to be – this is one of those seasons where you're going to see a lot of changes afterwards. This is Matt Patricia's first year. But I don't know if Matt Stafford's his guy. Where would Matt Stafford go? Where would he end up? That's a good question. What team would he be better suited for? I could see Matt Stafford in Arizona. Now, they have Bradford and Josh Rosen. Don't know. But yeah, I could see Stafford on a team like the Cardinals. I could see Stafford on a team like God, what's another team that needs one? Trubisky's they're in Chicago. The Browns, they've got Tyrod and Baker. Unless Tyrod starts turning it over, there's no need to start Baker. There's just not. Hugh should be on the hot seat, though. That's for damn sure. Hugh Jackson hasn't done shit since he's been there. Baltimore, they're going to stick with Flacco until the dude dies or retires. Andy Dalton is doing Andy Dalton things, which means that he starts out really well and then he does whatever later. I guess we'll see there. Miami's got Tannehill. God, you don't want another quarterback to end up in Buffalo right now. That's bad. They've got their rookie. They're fine. Peterman was just a really bad experiment. Raiders, Gruden's pretty much fully invested in Carr. But I tell you what, right now, though, if the rumors I'm hearing are true about Carr not being the same since his injury, and that's what the disconnect is there. Gruden's running this team like a Derek Carr pre-2017, 2016, when he broke his leg. If things don't get better, and if Stafford wants out of Detroit, if they do a shakeup, if Patricia wants to bring in, quote-unquote, his guy, whoever that might be, I could see Matt Stafford playing for Detroit. Absolutely. With Gruden, hell yeah, give him some weapons. Not that he doesn't have weapons in Detroit, but I don't know. So, Oakland, Las Vegas, I guess. The Raiders, they could get Stafford at the end of the year. Of course, I'm just thinking out loud. These are strictly hypothetical. It would take a lot for these things to play out, but Giants are going to ride Eli till he dies. Washington's got Alex Smith now. Cowboys got Dak. Eagles are getting Wentz back. Rivers with the Chargers. Mahomes with the Chiefs. Just talked Raiders. Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders. Who am I forgetting in the AFC West? I always forget one team. And it's never from the same conference twice. Tennessee, I think, needs to really evaluate their quarterback situation because Mariota's just never healthy for a full season. He's the Derrick Rose of the NFL. He really is. He'd be great if he could stay healthy. Yeah, but he can't frickin' stay healthy, man. It's crazy to think that they won with Blaine Gabbert. Man. Tampa Bay's got Ryan Fitzpatrick, and even if they don't, they've got Jameis Winston. That'll be interesting to see after Week 4, what they do there. Like I said, Week 3. Week 3 is that week in the NFL. Fitzpatrick has a terrible game, or if they lose, I could see them being like, well, it was fun while it lasted. Fitzmagic has run out. Dolphins said that. Jacksonville, they've got Bortles, but man, if he turns out to be Bortles of last year, that could be a spot that needs a guy like Stafford. He could play for Jacksonville. God, what a difference maker he would be, right? So, Oakland or Jacksonville, I don't really think there's an NFC team suited for Matt Stafford. I know that the NFC North would love to have him out of there. But if he's not a Lion next year, where would he be? It's not going to be in the East unless Eli retires. But I don't know if he'd go and play for the Giants behind that line. You'd have to offer me a hell of a lot of money. Not going to go Dallas. NFC South, they're set with Breeze, and they've got Bridgewater now. Matt Ryan. Tampa Bay. Yeah, I think Jacksonville and Oakland are about the only two teams that I could see that either would want a free agent quarterback with his veteran status and talent, or aren't already invested in a new, younger talent. Stafford's not going to go play backup somewhere. He's just not. If Alex Smith isn't backup anywhere, Stafford's definitely not. And I don't think that Stafford is better than Smith. I just think that with how much he's gotten paid. So, something to watch. There's a few things that could happen. I don't think Detroit is one of those teams that is going to figure it out this season. Patricia's just you see this from the C's, right? The OCs and the DCs out of New England all the time. They leave the Belichick system and they don't have Belichick anymore. We'll see what happens with Matt Patricia. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I feel like I may have just ruined all of the time that Cynthia was here to do Fan versus Fan Show Pick'em. But anyway, folks, that's going to do it for the Fan Show on this Thursday evening. Don't forget to check us out on all the major social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and of course, YouTube. I don't know if that's a social media platform or not. We're also on Reddit now. Reddit, Snapchat, and Instagram are all The Fan Show. Twitter and Facebook are at Fan Show Official. I'm not sure it's the Fan Show that's the channel for YouTube, but you can find the links to the YouTube channel and you can subscribe, which I suggest you do. We've got great content coming out. Just posted my interview from the pit with UFC legend and BattleBot commentary personality Kenny Florian. That was a great time. We talked about going into the tournament this weekend. I think I'll post another video in a little bit, but YouTube is going to be your home for that. You can listen to episodes. All the episodes get shared to YouTube as well. It's just a little harder. But if you're into that, do that. If you can't listen live, which we are live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, then you can subscribe and download and never be left out. Never miss a conversation. Never miss an interview or a special guest or a fun segment on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. So go give us a like, give us a follow, share, retweet, love, listen, like, laugh, all that good stuff. And so until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners! And remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's blood? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.